Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, it's time to get back into another one of these classic Football Manager save reviews. I enjoy doing this in part because it gives me an opportunity to look and see what other people have done with their saves and how they've reported them in the past. And also because sometimes we can get some ideas for new things to do, like playing to foul the other team instead of actually playing to win. We're going to look at a save idea that has, I think, a more commonly used approach to a save, and one that was actually very, very popular in the Sports Interactive community forums. So we'll go ahead, turn over to the screen view here. You can see my beautiful background there. I think that's from Calgary. And we'll go ahead and click on the forum index. We go down here in the forum index. We're going to go this time not to FM stories, but to FM career updates. So the difference is that the career updates page is the place where you can go to find stories about individual Football Manager careers that include pictures and include other illustrations. And so the writing is not necessarily going to be as good. And you'll see in this part that the author of this didn't exactly write War and Peace, I'll tell you that. But it's still very, very interesting. And we go here to the most viewed. We have this Békéscsaba. Hope I'm saying that right, in Hungary. This is by SRL88, who apparently was pretty well-known member of the forum. He might still be today. As you can tell, I don't use these forums as often as I probably should. And he decided to go for Békéscsaba with this would have been FM 12, I believe. Yeah, FM 13. Békéscsaba, who at that time were in the Hungarian Division 2 East. Now, there's this watermark on top of this photo, by the way, because if we try to open it, PhotoBucket will say that there is no photo. But fortunately for us, at least some of this was preserved. He didn't load very many leagues. It was just Hungary down to the second tier, England all the way down to League 2. I'm not sure why, and Spain over to Liga Adelante. And the reason why I say I'm not sure why is because of the rules that he set up for himself. So this is a so-called Youth Project Challenge. A lot of us are used to this. I guess, Youth Project or Youth Challenge Lite is saying that you cannot sign players who are 20 or over. That's what Lelujo did a couple of years ago. Remember when Kev did that? In this case, he was not allowed to sign any players. In other words, this is 100% a youth development save, which tends to be a lot more difficult. He did allow himself to bring in backroom staff, but once you bring them all in, you can't sign anymore. And the replacements have to be people who were former players, which makes things very difficult. That would be hard to do if you were in a system that would allow your club to really grow and expand. I must try and sell every player over the age 25 in my first season. If I can't sell them, they will stay until I can release them or their contracts expire, which is something that you commonly see with sort of youth to gold type saves, right? I'm thinking about what Omega Luke has done in the past. That's another one that's somewhat common. Basically, you get in, you got to sell all the old guys, which might be a good tactic for any save. And also, of course, this is a one club save. He won't leave at any point. So you can look through this and sort of see what it is that he's done. I'll put a link to this down below so you can look through it yourself. So he has a little explanation of the very archaic and difficult to understand rules of the Hungarian second division at the time. Most of these posts are actually people saying, I hope that you do well and so on and so forth. They didn't do so well in the friendlies. It was okay. And then they got right into the league. And basically what he does here is he posts once a month. And so he waits until he's done with the end of the month to post what the results were and then what the standings are, and then post a few of his comments, including a game that he has kind of put a emphasis on. Now, since it's a youth focused save, the important stuff is stuff like this: junior coaching budget increased, intake of new youth players. We look through the youth players, right? So he shows us this is Bela Bjornbur, whose name I'm almost certainly saying incorrectly. And you can go take a look at this player who is no longer in Football Manager because he's not a real player. Look at how nice the new gen faces were back then in FM 13, right? I'm not sure what's happened these days. Anyway, you can have some fun and go through these old PhotoBucket photos and look at these guys. Of course, I only look at acceleration and pace and think these players are awful. right? But I don't know. He has high determination. Maybe that'll be good. And so on and so forth. We won't take all day here to go through everything that happened. What we want to see is kind of what happened here in this save. And so he continued to play with new youth players, getting some good ones, getting some that were maybe not quite so good, and then continued to have success. So interestingly enough, the success really started to take off for him here. What I'm looking for here is his list of things that happened. Here we go. So the first season, they were in second in the league and missed being promoted. They had to be first, apparently, to be promoted. Then they went to first, both times going to the third round of the Cup. When they went to the first division, they were 8th at first, then 6th, 8th, and then they started this ring of championships or second-place finishes, including numerous Cup victories, victories in this other competition, I think it's the Cup for the first division of the league, and then Champions League appearances where they were constantly knocked out basically in either the group stage or in the first qualifying rounds or the first knockout rounds here. Made it all the way to the quarterfinal at one point, and then in the end they were able to win the Europa League after it looks like about 14 seasons worth of playing, along with a whole bunch of stuff here for the Supercoupa, which I'm not entirely sure I know exactly what that is. When we scroll up to this, we can see the most famous victory was this Europa League victory over Chelsea, 2-1, largely on the strength of, this is getting in the way, right? On the strength of 2 goals, a goal in the 22nd minute and a goal in the 46th minute. The 22nd minute goal from a youth program member who came up in 2026, which would have been a very, very recent acquisition for the club. And of course, he says, I am absolutely in shock at this. We fell behind. We had a big 22nd minute goal, and then we shocked them in the end. So this is the way that you really want to see your save. And man, this is the sort of progress that you want to see. This isn't always going to happen when you have one of these saves. It's not always going to be the case that you're able to have a whole bunch of success and make it up to the a European competition or something like that. But when it comes to like designing your save and trying to make something that other people will be interested in, this is very interesting. It's very interesting to think of like some sort of, some sort of scenario in which you are not able to sign anybody, in which you have to work things out through your own youth system, and you basically have to use what you have along with, whatever it is that you have within yourself, whatever ability it is. Now, it would have been nice to have maybe a little bit more in terms of a description or some sort of like literary merit to this. They lost, of course, the UEFA Super Cup to Real Madrid. And then what happened, unfortunately, with this is he ended up ending the save. He had internet issues around when he last updated. Then he got extremely busy after moving into a new house, and then went on holiday, and then came back, and it was time for the next version of FM14 had just come out. So unfortunately, we never were able to see how Békéscsaba were able to do later on in their world of Football Manager. But it's still very, very interesting, again, to look at this. It's the sort of project and the sort of setup that works well. As you can see here, all of this stuff is very simple. We can just pick a random page and look at it. Again, it's very, very simple. He just says this is what happened in the game. Here are a couple of very quick shots of this. There's no GIFs anywhere. There's nothing else going on. He never talks about tactics. He never really talks about like fighting with the ownership and all this other stuff. And, it's really pretty simple and pretty basic. And as you can see, not only was it interesting for people to read at the time, but even now, over a decade later, it still makes for some pretty good reading. It's still pretty cool to read through this and look at everything that happened and experience sort of the ups and downs. So there you have it. That gives you kind of an idea of one of the other ways in which you could talk about a save, in addition to an idea for a type of save that not everybody's doing, right? Another sort of youth program focused save with emphasis on things that you don't always see an emphasis on. Again, he doesn't talk at all here about tactics. For all I know, maybe he used one of these so-called broken tactics. Though you and I both know that, the impact that a really good tactic has in your team, not necessarily that huge. As long as you're not playing a defensive tactic and you're not doing something that makes no sense, you'll probably be okay. That's another video for another time. There you have it. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you like it. Let me know what you think about this type of save. Like I said, I'll put the link to it down below. I really like looking at stuff like this. I think it's pretty cool. there's a lot of stuff in the graveyard of Football Manager that people have forgotten about that I think really deserves to be unearthed and read through again. Talk to you again later. Bye.